Now, Omnicom has made more headlines towards the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026 than ever before. Let's just call it the perks of becoming the largest ad holding company in the world. Now, joining me to discuss the media side of things and also what's transpiring behind the scenes is Tony Harradine, the Apac CEO of Omnicom Media. Thank you so much for joining us, Tony.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
I remember, Tony, you were here a few months ago. I think back then you were finalizing the details of the merger. Now that some of those decisions have come to light, tell us how has it been received by the people within the company and also the industry at large?
Sure. I mean, look, it was probably the most significant event we've seen in our organisation. So inevitably, there were a lot of questions from the team, as you can imagine. We've been anticipating that, 6 months before the acquisition happened, right? So there's been a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. Ultimately, the question on everybody's lips was always going to be, how does this affect me? How does it affect the team around me? How does it affect my future? Our number one priority beyond communicating the benefits of this change to our clients has been to ensure that the clarity and the details of everybody's future role within the organisation is made clear, right? And there were some initial announcements, obviously, around the brand architecture. So, we're still big believers in the brands. That again gave confidence to clients that there'd be minimal disruption. No disruption. I mean, again, that's the aim, right? The client teams still have a job to do. The agency brands stand, the teams stand within those brands. The bigger change is more probably the what we would call the capability epicenter coming together of two great organisations with complementary sets of capabilities. But I think, look, the reaction overall has been positive. But of course, when you're in a business that's going through a change like that, there's going to be some degree of anxiety, some degree of concern around what this means. But we've ensured to keep the communication frequent. Internally, at least. I know it's probably a bit quieter from the outside looking in, but that's just because we want to make sure that when we go to market, we're very succinct in the clarity of what this new organisation will bring.
Right. I was speaking to some of the IPG leaders off record, of course, and there is that sentiment that that the global rule shouldn't apply here. IPG is bigger than Omnicom in India. So how are you kind of overcoming that sentiment of IPG versus Omnicom within the setup that you have created now?
Yeah, and look, I guess specifically in India, you're talking about two significant organisations, right? And look, the message from the get-go has been the whole reason for the acquisition. People always get obsessed about scale, about market share, obsessed about efficiencies. That's the narrative that's been spoken about in market. But the number one reason for any acquisition of this size is always about transformation and about the complementary capabilities that both organisations bring, and building something better and more powerful than either organisation could do in their own right. That's the number one purpose. And we made it very clear from the outset that, yes, Omnicom was buying into public. However, from the day of the acquisition, we're a net new company coming together. And even down to the process of leadership roles and heads of roles within the organisation, who's doing what. That was a coming together of both sides, both on the Omnicom side, the IPG side, to be very objective around who we feel are the best individuals to lead those organisations. And I hear you here. I mean, look, there's again very complementary businesses, but probably rooted in different legacies to some degree. I think IPG has had a very strong heritage in India for many years, under Shashi and his leadership in that team. the same management team for many years, and you know, as testament to that is the great relationships that they built. Very, very strong locally, right? Deep-rooted local client relationships. A business that's renowned for its strategic and creative prowess, right? Omnicom in India is arguably a younger business, right? In the sense that it's, I don't think, even 2 decades old yet, you know, in terms of OMG. And reputationally very much anchored on big global relationships and global infrastructure. So you just think about those two businesses coming together, that's going to create something extremely powerful for the Indian market. And you're bringing together, you know, great, highly skilled teams at scale, two very powerful technologies, you know, that will complement each other. We take the best of both. Omni Interact, which was their operating platform, underpinned now by Axiom, which is probably one of the most formidable assets that have come out of this for Omnicom, at least. It's incredible, you know, data infrastructure that they bought, built. So I hear you, and look, every market's going to say it's nuanced in its own way, again, something that IPG and both Omnicom have been very good at is recognising that. Even prior to the acquisition, localisation matters, but there does need to be some degree of global consistency where you're in a global network. Global clients, enterprise level clients in particular, demand consistency but different flavours. So yeah, we are certainly...
But you're not seeing any discontent at the surface level at this point? I mean, it's been 3 months down now.
Look, no, nothing disruptive, absolutely not, you know. Of course, there's always going to be questions, like I said, around, you know, what does the future mean? But no, I think we're off to a great start, you know. It takes time to build a common culture. That will take longer, definitely. But we're definitely, we're on that journey now. I
was also observing, I was trying to compare the media and the creative side, and there was so much buzz on the creative side of things, you know, where there were mergers and there were agencies being retired, and on the media side it was just the dissolving of that one IPG media brand's name. So just to compare, you know, you managed to keep all 6 media brands and just 3 networks from the creative side. What was the big differentiation there?
I think Omnicom Media and probably IPG Media brands too, just as an outsider looking in prior to obviously the acquisition, we've been on a journey of transformation already. There's always been distinctiveness of media agency brands, but the decision was taken many years ago to have a consistent operating unit, which became Omnicom Media Group for us. Media brands for IPG. So we've gone on probably 50% of the transformation. We're now going through another transformation coming together. Whereas you look at the Omnicom advertising side, it was very distinct brands, pillar brands, but no operating overlay. There was never. It was only up until recently that there was an Omnicom advertising.
Clubbing together.
Now run by obviously Sean Donovan, my counterpart, who's you know, a fantastic operator. And then likewise. On the media brand side, you know, McCann, very distinct brands, FCB, Lowe, you know, so on and so forth. So, it's I think there has to be acknowledgement. It's a slightly bigger undertaking for them. They're doing 2 transformations. We're doing 1, if you will, right, within the same time frame. But you know, talking to Sean, I think everything's falling into place. You know, there's great talent on both sides, you know, and what it's doing actually is it's setting up a more mirror image of both our divisions to be able to intersect better and collaborate more. And we already do great work together now, but operationally I think it's going to create better efficiencies for us to interconnect media and creative as well.
Okay. No, I actually meant to say that, there are three, you managed to consolidate networks into three distinct ones on the creative side, but there are all six which were retained on the media side. So was there a specific reason besides, of course, that there are so many clients and so many brands?
Yeah, look, again, probably can't speak on behalf of Omnicom Advertising. I think for us, there would have been ongoing discussions around, do we keep all, do we keep some? And I think the conclusion, I know the conclusion was that the clients today that are bought into those agency cultures, those teams, they didn't want the disruption of the change, and therefore, well, let's keep it, So, and in terms of brand count across our two businesses, it is immense, we carry in India alone, a dozen or so automotive brands. So even within the number of agents we have, we still have to create distinct teams within the agencies to be able to ensure the right confidentiality and competitive protocols are kept, which we...
That's stronger on the media side, you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely required. That's we're contractually obligated to that, and we live by that. And inevitably, if you want to be a scale business, you're going to have a multitude of businesses from within the same sector. But look, it made sense for us to do that on the media side. I'd say perhaps there's the disruption happening in our world at the moment is probably required maybe more significant changes on their side. But yeah, it makes sense for us.
And just to add to that, I was just going through that structure again, and on the creative side, you've not really removed a brand, while you have three networks. Now it's more of a system of, an agency operating within an agency, like Ulka and, Mudra are under BBDO. So from a P&L perspective, how does that really make much of a difference? Because we're talking about consolidation and simplification in the same breath. And did you ever think about trying something like that on the media side, just to keep that going?
Yeah, so I guess we operate in that way now. And it may not be necessarily embedded within one of the agency businesses, although there is degrees of that with the legacy of Mudra Media, and to your point, Ulka on the IPG side. But yeah, it's more around the coming together of teams, and setting up ways of working and structures that are complementary to deliver for a certain client objective. And that's something that we've been doing for many years. I mean, again, Apple is testament to that. That was set up many decades ago and is still the gold standard. And we've done many examples of that since. But I don't necessarily think every client will always want that. We believe in choice and agility and flexibility, that if you want that solution, we can create that. If you want a standalone media agency, we can deliver that too. Absolutely. Yeah.
And tell me, what was the toughest decision that you had to make in these past 6 months when you were putting together the merger and the details? And what is the biggest immediate pressure for you?
I think the biggest immediate pressure will be to ensure that we're building a culture of collaboration between the two organisations that have come together. And I think that's happening now. We're giving more clarity in terms of what our operating model will be, so that everybody's clear on their scope, their responsibilities, what their futures will be, in the sense of, what's my progression through this new business, right? So yeah, landing the culture piece is probably the most critical, because you have a happy team, a thriving team that's going to be reflected in the output of the work that you produce. So that's number one. I'd say the second biggest priority is the harmonising of the capabilities that we've built, and the infrastructure, and because that's going to then empower the teams also to do better work.
Right.
And I think we're in a great place, because both Omnicom and IPG independently as competitors built very strong sets of capabilities on both sides. what that's allowing us to do now, and what was obviously spoken about at CS this year, was the new Omni has been developed and will continue to be developed. There'll be various iterations of that throughout the coming months to build something that's even more compelling, powerful than either of us had before. These components of their infrastructure, components of our infrastructure coming together, really taking the best of both.
So, on one hand, you of course have the question of scale, which you obviously have. And then the second side is redundancy. So you're trying to do away with duplicates. What does the new structure really have for the clients today, the new Omnicom structure? Yeah,
so I think certainly a deeper talent pool, which, again, we are a business that is both technology and people. And a lot of the narratives in market at the moment around the technology, both are equally important to deliver on the success for our, our client partners. So a much deeper bench of talent, I think, would be one of the big additions to this whole merger. The coming together of those communities, so we're being a lot more intentional in connecting our capabilities in the centre. So, whether that's buying, e-com, data analytics, MarTech consultancy, all these areas, there's probably been some degree of complementary but siloed ecosystems at times, and not to any great degree. I don't think it's going to be a seismic shift, but we're going to be a lot more intentional around how we bring that together in the new organisation. So that's going to be very additive for clients. At the same time, we still back the value of agency brands, because I think, again, clients buy into teams, they buy into culture as much as they buy into the centralised technology and capabilities that you're building. So I think that complementary approach of strong culture in a go-to-market team, connecting into an ecosystem of deep specialisation, is the vision from this point on.
And yet when you talk about consolidation of this scale, the elephant in the room is usually client conflict, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a Samsung and you have an Apple, you have a Tata Motors, you have a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Now, you managed to save some and you've managed to sacrifice some. So I just want to understand the casualties in India, were they higher than, the other markets that you manage in Apac?
No, not really. I mean, again, and it wasn't something that was, there weren't that many instances. Of course, there may be an instance where a client may leverage it to see, what's in this for me. But generally speaking, it wasn't a major issue. I think you look at, our competitors, certainly in India, you've got obviously Group M are a significant business here. They're awash with conflict. They've managed that for years. We've managed it for years, even within our own delineated businesses of IMG and IPG. So coming together, it hasn't been a major issue. And again, I think the preservation of the brands maybe has given some reassurance to that. But our obligation is always around sensitivity of client conflict, of confidentiality, and we wouldn't be as big as we are today if we hadn't have lived up to that already. And even you take a client like Apple, who are extremely sensitive to their IP and their ways of working. That's what's allowed them to innovate and build the business that they built. As long as they've got the reassurance that their team's their team, they don't care who else is in the bigger fold. Don't touch OMD, don't touch our team, and we have to live by that. So, yeah.
Okay, and globally, of course, you're number one. In India, you're number two, even despite the consolidation. So tell me, in the initial months, did you chalk out a strategy to go beyond that cost-cutting narrative to make sure that, sometime in the near future, you're number one in India as well, toppling WPP. So is there a plan, or have you given yourself some time to, go and become the number one in India?
Yeah, look, and it's how you define number one. I know that WPP's narrative on the media side is always number one is defined by billings and scale. I guess that could be a byproduct of success to some degree. I just want to be number one in terms of the talent pool and the capability that we've got. Whether that results in us being number one in terms of billings and scale or having more brand count, you know, the metric for me is really the health of the business and the caliber of individuals that we're bringing into the organisation and the capabilities that we're continuing to build. I think that really defines success. You know, I think there's some degree of comfort in scale, and markets view it differently. In some markets it can go against you, where clients feel they're going to be lost in the noise of a sea of other businesses. Other markets it's seen as a halo, right? But yeah, look, our ambition is to be the best at what we do in every single market that we operate in. Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure you had a plan for this particular year. Does the current geopolitical reality deal a blow to that, you know, with the war happening and, you know, a lot of brands kind of receiving a setback?
Yeah, look, I think we haven't seen a material impact in Asia Pacific. It's obviously would have affected the region concerned, right? So my counterparts in EMEA, you know, I don't specifically know what it means for them, but there must have been an impact. In any given year, there's always some geopolitical tension somewhere. And as big organisations, and many organisations are often equipped to deal with that. Yes, there's a little bit more unpredictability in terms of you know, economic tactics and these things, but yeah, it hasn't. We haven't seen any demonstrable downturn or adjustment in ambition from a lot of our major client roster.
So in that case, what is the percentage of growth that you're targeting for India and for APAC in this particular year?
I don't know if I'm allowed to comment. I'm never allowed to quote numbers, I think, but yeah. But let me sense check, and we'll share what we can. Yeah.
And you can tell me where does India really rank in APAC?
I guess broadly speaking, I'll give you something. So you know, we've got massive ambitions for India, right? And you know, high single to double digit is just I shouldn't say just an expectation, but it kind of is. I mean, there's significant opportunity to continue the path that Omnicom's been on in India. We've experienced, you know, tremendous growth under Kartik and that leadership team's strategy here in India. It's been formidable. I think now with the addition of the IPG Media Brands business coming in, I think that's only going to compound that opportunity. You know, they've got some brilliant capability, they've got some brilliant people. So once we're fully organised under our new operating model, I think that's where we're going to be, you know, absolute force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I'm very excited about what I believe the team can do here in India.
So like an early double-digit growth figure is what you're targeting for this year.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And tell me, where does India really rank in the APAC scheme of things? Is it number one, number two?
Top three.
Top three. Yeah, okay. Which is number one, if I can ask?
Look, that's fine. Yeah, we're very big in Australia. We've got significant market share. China, we're big by default of the market size. We've got a very successful business there. India, we've been typically a bit more of a challenger because we were a later entrant in terms of Omnicom Media. But it was one of our fastest growing markets. Now with the addition of IPG, we're growing quickly and at scale. So yeah, it's significant for us.
And tell me, where is growth really going to come from? Because, you know, as they say that advertising is growing in India, but ad agencies are not growing in India. So where is it really going to come from, according to you? Which sectors? Which departments?
No, that's a good question. I think I think still banking and finance, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow in that area. Despite and Initiative having a lot of FMCG business, we've had less of that historically. I think there's still growth opportunities for us there in terms of local brands, global brands. I think the small to medium enterprise as well. I think if we get our tech stack right, there's an opportunity there to have those businesses plug in, as well. So some of the disruptor businesses, huge opportunities there in terms of those organisations maturing from a disruptive, performance-centred business into something that's more looking at how they build brand equity over time. I think there's a lot of value we can bring there. So I think there are certainly opportunities for net new clients to come in. But let's not forget also existing businesses that want to move to more of an enterprise level partnership with us. We got a plethora of services that maybe we haven't cross-sold or cross-pollinated to the degree in which I know that we can. So I think organic growth will be a huge priority as well. Commerce is a big area for us, emerging area for us. We bought Flywheel several years ago. The media brands business here historically has had a strong commerce product as well. So I think the coming together of those two businesses under the Flywheel banner will be something quite powerful. Influencer again, it's a fast growth area for India. It is everywhere, but India in particular, opportunities there to extend mandates from media OR across commerce into influencer. I think the intersection of all of that presents very exciting opportunities for us.
Talking about that, obviously this merger is all about bringing capabilities together. But despite the merger and the consolidation, is there something or are there areas where you think you still need to acquire or maybe, build more efficiencies in that space? Is there anything like that for Omnicom at this point?
Yeah, I think early days. I mean, we wouldn't rule out other additive, capabilities. So I think within the coming months, we'll be able to do a gap analysis of where we are. I think, largely speaking, we've got a lot of capability already. We'll be able to stress test at that point. Do we need to double down in a particular area? And then, Kartik and the team will then thereby make the recommendations to say, we need to look into this area to a greater degree. This is the missing link,
But you've not earmarked that now at this point?
Not just yet. Not just yet. Yeah.
Okay. And also talking about outdated remuneration models, you're of course turning a new leaf, you have this big new setup ready. Do you think there will also be a sunrise to the way agencies will get compensated?
Definitely. And that's the one of the biggest questions we face with clients that are asking us around, what's the new operating model going to be? What's the new ways of working going to be, for us with our agency partners. So every major pitch now, it's a question, how are we going to organise these capabilities around our clients? Is it going to be on our infrastructure, their infrastructure, with the onset of agentic capability? What does that mean then around legacy remuneration models that are centred on either commission or FTEs, full-time equivalents, right, headcounts? So I think inevitably there will be a migration towards business outcomes and compensation metrics that are tethered to that. Again, it's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of talk. It's something that we're keen to explore, embark on. It's still early days, but inevitably the business will migrate more in that direction. Yeah.
Okay, but what is your best bet with regard to remuneration? What do you think is the best model?
What's the best model? Look, honestly, it's no one size for every client. It's going to be different. There's obviously comfort in FTE, right? Because it's a retainer-based model. That said, if you really want to, put your money where your mouth is as an agency partner, and you want to be closely tied to that business, and you're putting skin in the game, I guess the expression being, then I think, for the right client, absolutely. Putting some degree of risk there to tie your success to their success. It can certainly work. The debate therein lies is how do you define the benchmark in order to do that? What defines success? And inevitably, there's many factors that come into play in terms of moving items off shelves. It's not just advertising; it plays a big part. It can be other things too, elements that are well out of our control. So it is, to some degree, if it goes to that exact model, there is a leap of faith as well, right?
Okay. Yeah. And what, according to you, should the media agency of today or tomorrow look like to have that advantage over tech consultancies, tech companies and consultancies?
Yeah, and there's a big question over, how do we compete with the consultancies? How do we compete with the technology platforms, right? I think the answer to that is we want to connect both. We want to connect consultant level thinking with technology, with operational excellence, all the things that the platforms will bring. We want to be able to either bring that in a proprietary sense, or to partner with those platforms, and curate, a set of infrastructure that resonates for a particular client. And I think the more development, the more capabilities that we build there, particularly with the onset of that, well, I say onset, it's here now, and it's maturing with AI, that will hopefully free up our agency teams to be orchestrators as opposed to sleeves rolled up doing repeatable tasks, and some of the heavy lifting that's, people that work in that sector know all too well, and our sector know all too well. So the underlying ambition is consultant level thinking backed by infrastructure, operational excellence.
And just one last question.
Sure.
I was just reading Arthur, Publicis CEO. He spoke about they were the number one holding company till about 12 months ago, and you toppled that as well. And he spoke about how he's not really going to compete with Omnicom on scale, neither the tech companies, because they have a lot of money and they can do well. So what, according to you, does scale really bring, in this context?
It depends on the definition of scale. If scale refers to talent pool, then I think that is critical, right? Because there is a talent war out there amongst the holdcos in terms of bringing the best talent. So scale in that sense, I think, matters. Scale allows you to fuel the infrastructure that you're building, whether that's data, whether that's the ability to experiment, learn. You need the scale to be able to do these things. You need scale to have a seat at the table with the big tech partners. So in terms of innovation, in terms of access to alphas and betas and market firsts, I think scale matters in that regard. Scale in terms of chest beating and we're the biggest buyer, and I think those days are gone. I guess to summarise, I think the intellectual application of scale can get you far. Scale alone, I think, is probably a little bit legacy. Yeah.
Fantastic. I hope scale in this context does work for you and Omnicom in the near future.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully you'll be back next year and we will have a conversation again about the report card.
I'd love that. That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the chat.
Good to see you. Take care.